Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be going with the best updated teams for the current, I think, 5 demonic beasts we have. Bird, deer, dogs, Nidhogg, rat. Yeah, 5. 5 teams. Of course, there will be a lot of exclusive characters. I'm not going to lie, because this is the best team video. If I was going with a more free-to-play video, yeah, there would be less. But unfortunately, using the word free-to-play team, you can't really use it, because unfortunately, people start at different times, so even if I say this is the most free-to-play team, people are still not going to have half the characters on the team, or some people may not, because that's just unfortunately how it works. With these sort of games, not all characters are accessible all the time. So first team, for Bird, I would say is this team. It's unknown. It's really good. Vittoria does absurd amounts of damage with level 1 skills. Albedo, absurd counter. You got, of course, Freya here. He's got, once again, a lot of strong single targets, but also the 5% basic stat buff per unknown, as well as the single target damage increase, which is nice for these two, even though they're really not there for single target damage. Of course, Albedo is there for the counter, and Miguel is there for the stat boost and her cleansing, basically, for more buffs. Yeah, this team is quite good. He provides buffs for her. She just does her own thing and just vaporizes everyone. Albedo is quite good. The only reason I don't have Retomil on Albedo is just in case you can't kill the second phase floor 2 because with a counter, because it'll give him disable and then he'll just wipe your entire team. Even though I'm pretty sure you can just give her a time and she'll just still be completely fine. Albedo is basically immortal. For a gear, everyone would be like attack crit, attack defense, attack crit, attack crit. You could technically run HP defense on whoever you want as well, but I recommend these two, or even these three, just don't have HP defense. Like her, she can probably get away with it being HP defense, but I'd say it's not even really needed. She does quite good damage. She's got quite nice HP. This he boosts it by 20%. She boosts it with her own buffs, which is quite nice. He will buff her as well. Going on to Deer. So Deer's quite a weird one. When I was trying out this team, this was for the me trying Escanor on Demonic Beasts. This team was very good, like surprisingly good, and I actually like it now. This is the team I run whenever I want to do Deer. That is mainly because Escanor has the insane death damage. You've got Freya here, who's just a good red character who can just provide good damage. There's no real good red sins, so you know it's quite a good team. Melee, a lot of damage. The cleansing is quite nice. Yes, the Deer doesn't really debuff you much, but it's still quite nice for the defense lower, so that means everyone else can deal a little bit more damage. Escanor's really there to be your main DPS. Millie's there as a secondary DPS. Of course, you got Freya, who's got death damage ultimate, which is once again even. It's still quite nice as well. He's got good single target skills. Of course, she's here because she's the specialist character. And of course, you'd have attack defense, attacker, because Yorn provides so much, it's absurd. You can provide your team with 30% all stats, and if you're lucky, even 60% all stats, depending on how you play your skills the turn previously. Which is going to be enough to allow you to survive anything, as long as you've got any sort of gear on. You can have the worst, you can have full resistance gear, and you'll still fully tank it because of Yorn. Retomil, I would not recommend Retomil on anyone. Mainly because the Deer has an AoE, which is the freeze AoE, and it just likes to spam skills. And if it's disabled, when it does the skill where it can full wipe your team, your saver is that the fact that you're frozen, he'll freeze you the turn previously, you may die. Of course, Melee does also remove the freeze as well. So, actually maybe it is worth it, you just full send it, and once again, single target damage increase, because that's kind of what you want for the Deer. Dogs, here we go. My favorite team is actually this one. When I was trying it out, I realized Yuri is very good. The damage low is insane. Arthur tanks quite well. I think humans in general are just quite good. You can use Roxy. If you don't have Yuri, you can use Blue Roxy. She's also very good as well. You can probably go with using Transcendent Bond, Nulf Me if you even really wanted to as well. His tankiness is absurd. There's not really many good humans that would work well on this team, that work in Demonic Beasts. But yeah, easily you could replace her with Roxy or someone else like that if you don't have her. But this general setup is quite good. Escanor's death damage, his AoE damage is quite good. Arthur's ability to have the passive taunt is quite good, as well as the basic stat boost for humans, and then of course she's the specialist character. She provides HP related stats and attack related stats, as well as ult gauge every time she plays a skill, apart from her ultimate, which is absurd. Which when she released, she did sort of like immediately make dogs like super easy, and dogs had only been out for I think about 3-4 months at the time, and she just made it like stupidly easy. And of course, Yuri you can replace. Like Yuri's good because she not only does she provide 5% base stats for your entire 5% base stats per human on your team, so 20% in total. You've also then got the 30% damage lower. Her damage is also surprisingly good. I don't know how. She's running HP defense currently. She does a lot of damage. Like an absurdly high amount of damage for a HP defense character, which is quite good. Of course, she's getting the attack-related stat boost from Tonar. She's getting the basic stats from, of course, herself and Arthur as well. And then for card set, you want the one where you don't get frozen. Because this card set, if you don't have this card set, I wouldn't even recommend playing dogs. Like this card set makes it so much easier. Not only do you get 10% basic stats, but the ability to be immune to frozen is quite good. It means, for example, you don't end up losing the attack-related stat boost from Tonar. Even though, let's just say, it was to go onto Arthur, you wouldn't lose much because his buffs are grey, so his buffs are they'll still be taunted, but you just lose the attack-related stat boost, and that can sometimes screw you over, especially if you have a lot of that character's skill. On to, of course, for gear sets. What do we have gear sets? HP defense, because of course Arthur is mainly HP based. I have HP crit. I think it's HP crit resistance on her, mainly so she doesn't get crit because she has abysmal crit resistance, like horrible. Yuri also increased crit resistance as well and crit defense by 30%, which is quite nice, especially for her. HP defense and then of course attack crit. This team is quite tanky and they power quite a nice chunk of damage even with HP defense. Of course, Nidhogg, we have the normal Nidhogg team, which is, of course, Mael, Red Freya, LR Liz, and then Margaret. So there are 2 replacements here. If you don't have LR Margaret, this is Summer Margaret. If you have LR Margaret, you can use LR Margaret over Summer Margaret. And of course, if you have Summer Freya, you can use Summer Freya over Red Freya, because that's just how it works. It will just be a little bit more RNG based if you have Summer Freya over Red Freya. You can easily do it if you have Red Freya and LR Margaret. That's still completely fine. I would just recommend, if you have them both at the same time, it's going to be a lot more of a struggle, unfortunately. But that is because, of course, both her relic, basically, every time she uses a single target skill, she removes a stance, and on floor 3, phase 2, you do want to remove the stance, but if your only DPS skills you're getting are Freya's, it's not going to be a fun time, and it'll be just a reset fest, which is unfortunate. But overall, this team is insane. Mael, of course, I do have his relic as well now, which makes it even easier, but Mael, insane DPS, Freya, absurd DPS, and then these 2 here are absolutely insane supports. Of course, Liz has cleansing, she's got passive healing, she's got healing from roll, she's got attack-related stat boost. Margaret has got basic stat boost. I don't know what Margaret does, because I haven't done Nidhogg in, like, forever. What does Margaret even do? Basic stats, damage del, and then, yeah. And whenever she removes debuff, she heals. That's quite nice. It's not really needed, but it's quite nice. I feel like you probably could actually replace LR Liz with another goddess. I don't know which goddess you would replace them with, because unfortunately there aren't many different named goddesses. Red Tamio, I think, is the only one. Maybe Red Sariel. Green would just get absolutely eviscerated if you run Green Sariel on here. But for card set, we have, if they're all the same race, you get 15% attack related stats. You're probably thinking, if you don't know much about Nidhogg, why is Freya here? She's unknown. Her relic makes her goddess as well. So that's the reason why you can run her on this team with that card set, and of course, all these people only really care about goddesses. But gear-wise, attack crit, attack defense, I always go with attack defense on her, HP defense, and then HP defense. Margaret currently doesn't have HP defense on, it's on Blue Margaret, but yeah, that's what it is. And then on to, of course, the current most irritating demonic beast. Well, unfortunately, this is the most optimal team. There is no ifs, buts, or maybes. This is the best team currently for it. That is because Melee's got an absurd amount of DPS, and of course, you sort of need these 2 for just the general gimmicks of the demonic beast. And then, of course, you have Liz, who's your absurdly broken support character. Unfortunately, card set wise as well, we do go with the Deer card set, which increases base stats by 10%, gives us immune to freeze. Mainly because it just straight up gives you 10% basic stats. There's no criteria behind that. And of course, this one of these doesn't have freeze as petrify, so it doesn't really matter. I'm actually kind of surprised we've not got a new card set for the Nidhogg. So normally, after a little while, they release a card set for the newest demonic beast, and it will contain the old demonic beast card. So it would have been the Nidhogg card, because we don't actually have a Nidhogg card yet. I'm surprised they haven't released that. I thought they would have done that already. or at least in this update. I was either expecting it during JP Anniversary or this update here, which they didn't, which is kind of a surprise. Unless, of course, they're going to release it with the next Ragnarok update, which, if I had a hunch, would end up being maybe next festival, which would be end of July, I think. Hopefully it's a dead month, but, you know, Netmarble has not given us a single dead month out of the 3 we should have already had this year. And I believe this year may be the worst year for free-to-play players, being either all collabs, being just collabs and festivals, just all the time. And I do feel like the whole seasonal festival thing was a sort of a way to get more money out of people. But yeah, gear-wise, attack crit, HP defense, HP defense, HP defense. So the only cert is different is Miss Valenti's here, who is running resistance rolls. That helps her tank quite a bit, because her problem is that she's a little squishy. Of course, she's an old character, so most of her stats do come from the older character, which is a slight problem. But apart from that, this is a good team. Like, these teams I've shown, you can easily replace it. If you're a whale, right, you can easily replace someone like Melly on this team with someone else. You know, if you're a whale, you can replace probably anyone on all the teams I've shown with someone else, because there's always going to be someone who's maybe a tiny bit better if you have them a 6-6 in comparison to 1-6, because unfortunately, most of my newer festivals from around, I would say, Demon King onwards are like 2-6 and below. Actually, they're all 2-6 and below. I don't have a single festival that released after Demon King who is higher than 2-6, or is 2-6 other than Demon King Melee. All of the rest of them are 1-6, because that's just my luck, unfortunately. But, yeah. Hopefully the next festival changes that. But, yeah, Demonic Beasts are quite easy. Of course, get every relic. It's worth getting every relic, because not only, you know, it doesn't make the character maybe just a little bit better, but it's GP points, it's box CC. If you get every relic just for bird alone, it's 360 GP points, which, by the way, is a big crystal on... It's a big crystal on most constellations, which is absurd. Apart from, I think, the final one where it's like 450. I think that's what it is. I'm not too sure. I'm not on the final one. I'm on the Constellation of Pride. The final one is, of course, Wrath, which is Melee's. And then, of course, here, once again, 180 GP points worth of relics, 150, 140, and then currently 30. Because they are adding another relic, which is Camilla's, which I may actually make, mainly because I'm going to have to get the next relic anyway. Unfortunately, this relic for Deriary was sort of made for Valentine's Deriary. The boost of HP related stats, it's sort of what Deriary wants to tank, and unfortunately I don't have that Deriary because I'm not allowed to get seasonal characters sometimes. The game just, as you can see here, I'm not allowed to get seasonal characters sometimes. But yeah, I would highly recommend getting like every relic you can possibly get. Not only for box EC, but just for general GP points. And because it makes the character slightly better, and if they come back into Meta, or it's Chaos Mode, you know, you don't have to farm it a little bit here and there. Because when it's Chaos Mode, you're sort of using these crappy characters. Like, let's not lie, right? If you're using, like, the new Escanor, and you've only got, like, 1,500 points to spend, you need 500 characters. One of these barns are going to be, like, a 500 character. You can just pick one of them, and guess what? You now have his relic as well. Even if that doesn't really help, you'll still get the CC from it, which is kind of nice in Chaos Mode, because Chaos Mode is an absolute whale fest. It's a really bad game mode now, and they definitely need to rework probably the whole like ranking system. The reward system, completely fine with it. I just think they need to make it so it's sort of like normal, and then just make it a little bit better. But anyway, that's a thing for another video. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next one. Bye bye.